In this example, I need to solve for x in the equation a times the quantity x plus y equals cx plus d times z. What type of equation do we have here? Notice all of the variables in this equation. So this equation is called a literal equation or a formula. And how do we solve formulas? To solve a formula for a specified variable, we treat that variable as if it were the only variable in the equation. We treat all other variables as if they were numbers. So in this problem, I need to solve for x. Where does x occur in my equation? It occurs here, but it also occurs over here. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is get all my x's on one side. And before I do that, I'm going to have to distribute the a into this parentheses. So I'm going to get a times x, which is just ax, plus a times y, which is ay, equals cx plus dz. Now, notice I have x in two different places. That's what I'm trying to solve for. So I need to collect them on one side of the equation, everything else on the other. Does it matter which side I collect them on? No. So I'm going to collect my x's on the left-hand side. So that means I'm going to have to subtract cx from both sides. And at the same time, I'm going to move the ay, so I'm going to subtract ay from both sides of the equation. So I get ax minus cx. Can I combine those? No, unlike terms, so I just leave it as ax minus cx equals, on the right-hand side, dz minus ay, unlike terms, so just leave them alone. So now I just need one x, and what we have to do is factor out the variable we're looking for, the x. If you factor an x out of an ax, it's going to leave a, minus factor an x out of a cx, it's going to leave c. So I have x times a minus c equals dz minus ay. Last thing, how is this parentheses attached to the x? By multiplication. So you're going to undo it by dividing both sides by a minus c. And so on the left-hand side, I just get x equals, can I reduce anything? Be careful, you cannot reduce these two a's. You can only reduce factors that are common factors in the numerator and the denominator. So x is just dz minus ay over a minus c. And that is the answer to solving this literal equation for x. One last thing, what would have happened if I'd have collected my x's on the right instead of the left? I'm going to put the video on pause for a minute. While the video was on pause, I wrote the steps out I would have used if I'd have collected my x's on the right-hand side instead of the left-hand side. I would have subtracted ax from both sides. I would have subtracted dz from both sides to get this step, factored out the x, and finally divided both sides by c minus a. And this is the solution I would have obtained. Now notice these solutions look different, but they're totally equivalent. And if you want to check that they're equivalent, just multiply numerator by -1 and denominator by -1, and you will obtain the other solution.